Ethan didn't move at first. He remained kneeling there, Maya's tiny arms wrapped around his neck, the soft warmth of her innocence resting against a place in his chest he'd forgotten could feel anything at all. He closed his eyes briefly, steadying himself as an unexpected tide of memories drifted in. His mother's tired smile, the night she thought he was asleep while she cried into her pillow, the way she always apologized for things that weren't her fault. He opened his eyes slowly, and Maya pulled back just enough to look at him. Her smile was small but real, hopeful in a way that made his throat tighten. Lena watched the two of them, her hand pressed firmly against her lips as if she were trying to keep the sobs from escaping again. Not the broken ones, these were different. These were the kind born from unexpected kindness after too many days of silence. Ethan stood up slowly, adjusting his jacket even though it didn't need straightening. It was a habit born from years of pretending everything was fine. "You're both safe here," he said quietly, glancing between them. "Whatever you need, you tell me." Lena shook her head faintly. "I don't want to be a burden, sir." He softened. "You're not a burden. You're an employee, a mother, a human being. And somewhere along the line, this company forgot that. I forgot that." Lena blinked, her eyes widening. "Sir, you don't have to." "I do," he said, the words firm but warm. "Not because I'm a savior or because I'm trying to prove anything, but because I should have seen this. I should have known my people better." For the first time, Lena looked at him without fear, only with the quiet, trembling gratitude of someone who had carried more than her share of invisible weight. Maya tugged at her mother's hand. "Mommy, can we go home now? You don't have to work more today, right?" Lena hesitated, looking at Ethan uncertainly. He nodded. "You're going home. Both of you. Take the rest of the day off. I'll have HR process everything." Lena exhaled shakily, her shoulders dropping as the tension that had lived in her body for months finally loosened. Thank you so much." Ethan stepped aside, gesturing politely toward the door. "I'll walk you downstairs." Lena immediately shook her head. "No, sir, that's too much. You've already done enough." He almost smiled. "I insist." Maya grinned. "Yay. A ride with the boss." Ethan chuckled under his breath, something nobody on this floor would have believed even if they'd heard it. He grabbed his suit jacket, slinging it over one arm before holding the door open. As they stepped out, the office went silent. Every pair of eyes lifted. Every whispered rumor evaporated mid-sentence. Even the clicking of keyboards paused. The employees watched their CEO, normally an iron-willed man who walked like he carried gravity itself, move alongside a shy cleaning staff worker and her child with a gentleness none of them had ever seen. Maya held his hand without the slightest hesitation, swinging her little arm happily as though Ethan were her personal superhero. And maybe, to her, he had become one. At the elevator, Ethan pressed the button, ignoring the stunned looks around him. When the doors slid open, he waited for Lena and Maya to step inside first. Lena hesitated. "Are you sure, sir? People are staring." Ethan glanced around at the sea of shocked faces. "Let them. Maybe it'll teach them something." The elevator doors closed behind them with a soft thud, sealing them inside a quiet, mirrored box. For a moment, none of them spoke. Ethan stood tall, hands in his pockets, his reflection staring back at him like a version of himself he didn't fully recognize anymore. Lena looked at her daughter, then at Ethan. "I don't know how to repay you. I don't know if I ever can." He met her gaze in the reflection. "Don't repay me. Just live better. For her." He nodded toward Maya. Maya leaned her head against her mother's arm. "Mommy, are you happy now?" Lena cupped her daughter's cheek, her voice trembling. "Yes. I'm happy, baby." Ethan looked away, pretending to check his watch when in reality the sight hit him deeper than he cared to admit. When the elevator reached the ground floor, they stepped out into the bustling lobby. Security guards straightened, employees froze mid-step, the receptionist nearly dropped her pen. Ethan ignored all of it. He walked them to the building's front doors. Outside, the city buzzed beneath a warm afternoon sun. People hurried along the sidewalks, unaware of the small miracle happening right behind the glass doors. Lena turned toward him, her hands clasped tightly together. "Mr. Hale, I truly don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," he replied softly. "Just make sure Maya knows she's safe. That's enough." Maya reached out and hugged his leg before he could even react. Ethan stiffened for a second, then slowly rested a hand on her back, steady and careful, as if afraid she might break.
"Bye, sir," she said sweetly. "I'll pray for you."
Ethan felt something shift again, a soft, unexpected warmth blooming in his chest. "Thank you, Maya," he whispered.
Lena took her daughter's hand.
"We should get going." Ethan stepped back, giving them space. "If you need anything at all, you come to me."
Lena nodded, her eyes shining.
"I will, sir." They turned and began walking toward the street, Maya skipping beside her mother, light and carefree in a way only a child who believes tomorrow will be brighter can be. Ethan watched them until they disappeared into the flow of city life. Then he exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the moment settle into him like a truth he could no longer ignore.
Something had changed. Something irreversible. He didn't turn back to the building immediately.
Instead, he stood there, hands in his pockets, staring at the place where Maya and Lena had vanished into the crowd. For the first time in years, Ethan felt the quiet, unfamiliar press of emotion he'd kept locked away.
He didn't fight it. He didn't hide from it. He simply let it wash over him.
And somewhere inside him, old echoes began to shift, making room for something new, something human, something hopeful, something he never thought he would feel again.
"Continue where you stop."
Mrs. Dalton's hand rested lightly on his shoulder, not heavy or commanding, but steady, like an anchor placed deliberately into a shifting tide. Ethan stood there, silent, absorbing the weight of her words.
"Proud of you."
He couldn't remember the last time anyone had said that to him without it being tied to quarterly numbers or stock performance. This felt different. Uncomfortably, unexpectedly personal. She withdrew her hand after a few seconds, studying him with a mixture of curiosity and something almost maternal, though Ethan knew she would deny such softness if it were ever spoken aloud. "You've built a fortress around yourself for years," she said, her voice gentler now. "I've watched you run this company with precision, discipline, and a certain frostiness." Her lips tugged faintly upward. "But today you walk through the lobby with a child holding your hand, and Ethan, the entire building breathed differently." He looked away, unsure how to respond. His jaw tightened, not out of anger, but habit. Vulnerability was foreign territory, and he wasn't yet sure how to navigate it without tripping.
Mrs. Dalton's gaze followed him.
"You don't need to explain yourself.
But do understand this, what you did today will echo. People talk. People notice. And sometimes, that's not a bad thing." He turned back to her slowly.
"If you're worried about optics." She cut him off with a sharp wave of her hand.
"Optics be damned.
I'm talking about leadership, Ethan.
Real leadership.
The kind that remembers the humans behind the machines." He blinked at her, surprised by the conviction in her tone.
Mrs. Dalton sighed softly.
"This company has grown beyond numbers.
It's a living organism.
And today, you reminded it, and me, that there's a heart at the helm. Don't lose that." With that, she turned toward the door, pausing only briefly.
"Take the rest of the day if you need it.
Let your mind catch up to whatever your heart started."
Then she walked out.
The door clicked shut, leaving Ethan alone with a silence that felt far too big for the room. He sat down slowly, placing his hands on the edges of his desk as if grounding himself. Mrs. Dalton's words lingered, stirring something uncomfortable yet strangely right.
He hadn't planned any of this.
He hadn't intended to make a statement, or shift perceptions, or inspire anything. He had just listened to a crying child and followed the instinct he'd buried a long time ago. And somehow, that had created a ripple. He leaned back, exhaling deeply, letting his thoughts drift toward Maya again.
Her small hand. Her fragile voice.
That terrifyingly pure question. "Are you an angel?"
No. He wasn't.
But maybe, just maybe, he could be something better than the man he had allowed himself to become. The office door opened again, but this time softly, cautiously.
Marla stepped inside.
"Sir, there's someone else here to see you."
Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Another board member?" "No, sir. It's, Javier." He frowned.
It took him a moment to place the name. Javier, head of the janitorial staff.
Quiet. Dependable. Rarely spoken, less spoken to.
"What does he want?"
Marla gave a small shrug. He didn't say.
Just asked very politely if he could have 5 minutes of your time.
Ethan considered this. Normally, he would have declined without thinking.
But today, everything felt different. "Send him in."
Marla nodded and disappeared again.
A moment later, Javier stepped inside, hat in hand, shoulders stiff with nerves. He was older than Ethan remembered, grey threading through his hair, deep lines at the corners of his eyes. He stood just inside the doorway, uncertain. "Mr. Hale," he said quietly, voice respectful but trembling. "Come in," Ethan said, gesturing for him to step closer. "What can I do for you?"
Javier swallowed hard. "Sir, I just wanted to say thank you."
Ethan blinked, caught off guard. "For what?" "For Lena," Javier said, emotion tugging at his words.
"She's like a daughter to me.
I watched her start this job when she had nothing, no help, no family. She worked harder than anyone I've known. And today you saw her. Really saw her. I can't ever repay you for that." Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. "You don't need to repay me."
But Javier shook his head.
"You don't understand, sir. People like us, we don't expect to be noticed.
We just try to survive.
And someone like you, someone at your level, stepping in? It gives people hope, sir. Real hope."
Hope. That word echoed strangely in the room.
Javier hesitated, then stepped forward just enough to place a small, folded piece of paper on the desk.
"Maya drew this while she waited downstairs.
Said it was for you." Ethan stared at the folded paper, something warm and nervous blooming inside him. "She wanted you to have it," Javier added softly. "Said it was important." Then, without another word, he bowed his head slightly and stepped out, closing the door behind him. Ethan remained frozen for a moment before reaching for the paper. His hands, steady during the highest-stakes negotiations, felt suddenly unsure. Carefully, he unfolded it.
It was a crayon drawing.
A stick-figure version of him, tall and smiling, actually smiling, holding the hand of a little girl with two giant ponytails. Next to them was a woman, her hair long, her face bright. Above them, in shimmery blue crayon letters, were 3 words. "Thank you, sir." Ethan's breath hitched.
He stared at the drawing as if it was something fragile enough to break. It shouldn't have meant so much.
It was childlike, simple, uneven. And yet, it cut straight through layers of armor he didn't know were still there. He traced the uneven lines, the oversized hands, the crooked smile, the little heart floating above the figures.
Maya saw him as a hero.
A protector. Something warm and kind. And somehow, that truth felt heavier than any deal he had ever made. He set the drawing down gently, as though it were priceless. A knock sounded again, so soft he almost missed it. "Sir."
Marla's voice came through.
"There's a call for you. From a school."
Ethan's head lifted.
"A school?" "Yes, sir. They said it's urgent." He stood instantly, something instinctive tightening in his chest.
"Put them through," he said.
He moved back to his desk, sat down, and picked up the phone as the line clicked open. "Mr. Hale," a woman's voice said, strained. "I'm calling from West Ridge Elementary. It's about a student named Maya Ortiz." Ethan's pulse quickened.
"Yes. What happened?"
The woman hesitated. "There's been an incident."
His heart stopped.
"What kind of incident?" he said, his voice suddenly sharper, colder, not from distance, but fear. The woman took a breath.
"Maya, she hasn't been picked up. And we can't reach her mother."
Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. Something inside him shifted again, but this time, with a jolt of dread.
"Continue where you stop."
Ethan's fingers tightened around the phone until the edge dug sharply into his skin. For a moment, words refused to form. The office around him fell away, leaving only the woman's strained voice crackling through the line. "We've tried calling her mother several times," she continued nervously.
"Her number goes straight to voicemail.
Maya has been waiting for almost an hour. She's getting scared." Ethan felt something primal ignite inside him, a fierce protective urgency he hadn't felt since he was a boy watching his own mother struggle through life alone. "Where is she right now?" he asked, his voice low but deadly controlled. "She's with me in the office," the woman replied quickly. "She's safe. But, Mr. Hale, she asked for you." The breath left his lungs in one swift, painful rush. "She asked for me?"
"Yes,"
she said. "Call the man who helped my mommy. She trusted we would find you." It was strange, a statement so simple, so innocent, yet it hit him with an emotional force sharp enough to shake him. Maya trusted him. She believed in him. And right now, she needed him.
I'm on my way, he said abruptly.
Should we wait at the front entrance?
Yes. And don't let her out of your sight.
Of course, Mr. Hale.
He ended the call before she could say more.
Ethan stood quickly, grabbing his jacket. Marla nearly jumped to her feet the second he opened the door. Cancel my remaining meetings, he said, striding past her. Reschedule everything.
She blinked.
Sir, is something wrong? I'll update you later.
He didn't wait for her reply.
He stepped into the elevator, pressing the ground floor with a force that betrayed the storm inside him. As the doors closed, his reflection stared back at him. Sharp suit, controlled posture, the powerful CEO everyone feared. But beneath that sheen, there was something raw, urgent, human. The elevator dropped swiftly, and Ethan's thoughts raced just as fast. Why wasn't Lena answering her phone? Was she hurt? Had something happened after they'd left? He replayed every detail of earlier, the relief in her expression, the hope returning to her eyes. Nothing seemed off. Nothing suggested danger. But he had learned long ago that life had a cruel way of striking without warning. When the elevator doors opened, Ethan didn't waste a second. He walked across the lobby with such intensity that people stepped out of his way instinctively. Outside, his driver, who usually waited for scheduled departures, jerked upright when he saw Ethan approaching.
Sir? Do you need the car prepared? Now.
West Ridge Elementary.
The driver nodded sharply.
Right away, sir.
They were on the road within 30 seconds.
Ethan stared out the window, his jaw clenched, his breath shallow. The city blurred past in streaks of color, but his mind was anchored to a single image, Maya sitting alone in a school office, waiting, scared, asking for him.
Why him? Because he had stepped into her world earlier.
Because he made himself someone she believed she could rely on. Because in her tiny, innocent mind, he wasn't a CEO or a stranger. He was the man who made her mother stop crying.
The man who listened. The man who helped. And now, she was reaching for him again. He wasn't going to fail her.
Traffic slowed near an intersection, and Ethan felt impatience claw up his spine. Take the side street, he ordered. Yes, sir. The driver veered sharply into a narrower road. Ethan tapped his foot anxiously, his heartbeat thundering in a way he hadn't experienced in years. Not in business, not in negotiations, not even during crisis management. This was different.
This was real fear.
Real responsibility. When the school finally came into view, Ethan was already reaching for the door handle.
The car hadn't completely stopped when he stepped out.
The front courtyard was quiet, parents lingering, children playing, teachers chatting. But Ethan scanned the area like a man searching for oxygen. A woman near the entrance spotted him immediately and waved. Mr. Hale.
He strode toward her.
She was in her late 40s, wearing a floral blouse and a lanyard with her name, Ms. Carter. She held a clipboard in one hand, but her eyes were soft with concern.
Thank you for coming so quickly, she said. Maya is inside. She's been asking for you.
Where's Lena? Ethan asked, his voice low but sharp.
We're not sure. We tried all her emergency contacts.
No one responded.
Ethan followed her inside the school office.
And there, on a small wooden bench against the wall, sat Maya, her backpack clutched tightly in her lap, her little shoes swinging nervously. The moment she saw him, her face lit up, relief washing over her like sunshine breaking through clouds.
Sir.
You came, she exclaimed, hopping off the bench and running straight to him. Ethan knelt instinctively, opening his arms just in time for her to collide into them. He lifted her slightly, holding her with surprising ease. Of course I came, he said gently. I told you, you can always call me. She buried her face in his shoulder, her small hands gripping the collar of his jacket.
I was scared, she whispered. Mommy didn't come.
She always comes, but today she didn't.
His throat tightened.
He stroked the back of her head, his voice steady even though his insides churned. It's all right. I'm here now.
Ms. Carter stepped forward.
Mr. Hale, we don't know what happened.
Lena has never been late before. She's a wonderful mother.
Something must have. I know, Ethan said firmly. I'll find her.
Maya pulled back slightly.
Is Mommy okay?
He forced himself to speak calmly.
We're going to check on her together. Maya nodded, trusting him completely. Ethan stood, holding Maya's hand tightly as they walked out of the school. The sky was clouding over now, the wind growing cooler. A sense of urgency hummed beneath the air, mirroring the tension in his chest. He opened the car door carefully, helping Maya climb in. She strapped herself into the seat, her small fingers fumbling with the buckle. Ethan leaned in to secure it himself, ensuring she was safe.
"Where are we going?" she asked softly.
"To your home," he said. "We'll make sure your mummy is all right."
He turned to his driver. "Take us to the Ortiz residence. Now."
"Right away, sir." The car pulled away from the school. As they drove, Maya looked out the window anxiously, her little legs bouncing restlessly. Ethan watched her reflection in the glass. Her worry, her innocence, her brave attempt not to cry.
He reached over and gently tapped her hand. "Maya.
I promise you, we're going to find her."
She looked up at him.
"You won't leave me, right?"
The question hit him like a blow. "No," he said quietly. "I won't leave you."
Minutes later, the car turned onto a quieter street, older apartments, cracked sidewalks, faded paint. Maya pointed suddenly. "That's my building."
The car slowed to a stop.
Ethan stepped out, lifting Maya into his arms without thinking. She clung to him immediately. Together, they walked toward the entrance of the apartment complex. The hallway smelled faintly of detergent and dust. A dim light flickered overhead. Maya pointed again.
"Third door on the left."
"That's ours."
They reached the door.
Ethan knocked, firm but not harsh.
No answer. He tried again, louder. Still nothing.
Maya tugged on his collar, her voice trembling. "Why isn't Mummy opening the door?" Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. He placed his ear against the wooden surface, listening.
Silence. Then, very faintly, a soft, muffled sound. A cry. His blood ran cold.
"Maya," he said gently but urgently, "stay behind me."
He tried the doorknob. It turned. The door creaked open slowly.
And what Ethan saw inside made his heart drop like a stone.
"Continue where you stop."
The air inside the grand ballroom shifted the moment Myra stepped in, her hand resting lightly in Daniel's. Conversations softened.
Heads turned.
It wasn't just her elegance or the dress that shimmered under the chandeliers. There was something unspoken in her posture, a quiet strength, a glow that came from surviving storms and walking into a new dawn. Daniel felt her hand tremble ever so slightly, and he tightened his hold, silently promising she didn't have to face a single thing alone anymore. Across the room stood Martin Hale, a ghost from her past wearing an expensive suit and an expression filled with regret. The moment his eyes met Myra's, the noise around them dimmed, like the universe had folded in to watch what would happen next. When he approached, people subtly stepped back, not wanting to miss the moment, yet too afraid to stand too close to a story that carried fire.
Martin's voice cracked first.
"Myra, you look different."
She lifted her chin.
"I feel different." Daniel stood beside her, calm, composed, radiating a protective presence that warned Martin against saying a single careless word. But Myra gently laid a hand on Daniel's arm, telling him she wanted to do this herself. Martin swallowed, the weight of unspoken years collapsing into a single breath.
"I ruined everything. I see it now. And I came tonight hoping to say I'm sorry. Not to get you back. Not to explain myself.
Just, sorry." Myra looked at him for a long moment, her eyes softening, not with affection, but with closure. "You did hurt me," she said, voice steady. "You broke things I thought would never heal.
But I healed anyway.
And not because of you, because I found people who showed me what real care looks like." Her gaze flicked briefly to Daniel, then back to Martin.
"I don't hate you. But the chapter with you is closed.
Permanently."
Martin's shoulders crumpled.
Whatever hope he had carried vanished, replaced by acceptance. He stepped back, nodded, and walked away quietly, swallowed by the crowd. A strange lightness spread through Myra's chest, as if she had finally set down a burden she didn't realize she was still carrying.
Daniel leaned in.
"You handled that with more grace than most people could."
She exhaled shakily.
It felt freeing. He smiled, brushing his thumb against her knuckles.
"Good.
Because you deserve a future unchained from any past pain." The rest of the evening felt like a celebration of something deeper than success, of survival, of transformation, of new beginnings. People who once dismissed her now approached with admiration. Those who doubted her whispered among themselves as she passed, stunned by the confidence she wore so naturally now. She wasn't the frightened woman crying behind a bathroom door anymore. She was someone who had risen, by her own strength, but also because someone believed in her when she had forgotten how to believe in herself. Later, as Daniel led her to the terrace overlooking the city lights, the night breeze wrapped around them like a gentle promise. Myra closed her eyes for a moment, letting the peace wash over her. The noise of the ballroom faded behind them, leaving only the hum of distant traffic and the soft rhythm of their breathing.
Daniel's voice broke the silence.
You know, when Lily came to my office that day, asking for help, I just thought I was dealing with a workplace issue. I didn't know I was stepping into a story that would change my life.
She laughed softly.
She has a way of changing things. She does, he agreed. But so do you. Myra looked at him, really looked, and in his eyes she saw a reflection of the woman she had become, not defined by suffering, but strengthened by it. Not small, not invisible, not afraid. She saw someone worthy of love, respect, joy. Someone finally ready to live, not just survive.
Daniel took a slow step closer. Myra,
I don't want to make assumptions.
I don't want to rush anything after everything you've been through. But I want you to know one thing. I'm here. Not as your CEO. Not as a rescuer. But as a man who cares about you. Deeply.
Her breath tightened, emotions swelling unexpectedly.
Daniel, I care about you too. More than I meant to. More than I thought I could again.
He reached up, gently brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. Then let's walk into whatever comes next together. No pressure. No expectations. Just honesty. She nodded, her voice barely above a whisper.
I think I'd like that. The world softened around them.
The city lights flickered like 1,000 quiet blessings. And for the first time in a very long time, Myra felt her future unfolding with warmth instead of fear. When they returned inside, Lily spotted them and rushed over, giggling breathlessly.
Mummy, Sir Daniel, did you see the chocolate fountain?
It's huge. And I saved you both strawberries. Myra bent down, scooping her daughter into her arms. Thank you, my love. Lily then looked at Daniel with the same innocent sincerity that started this entire journey.
Sir Daniel.
Mommy's not crying anymore. Daniel knelt so he was eye level with her.
I know. And she never has to cry alone again.
Lily smiled, satisfied with his answer, and wrapped her small arms around his neck in a spontaneous hug. He froze, surprised at first, then gently held her back. Something settled in his heart in that moment, not a decision, not a promise, but a truth. Theirs wasn't just a story about hardship or rescue. It was a story about finding unexpected family, unexpected strength, unexpected hope. As the night drew to a close and the ballroom emptied, Daniel walked Myra and Lily to their car. The driver opened the door, but Myra paused before getting in.
Daniel, she said softly.
Yes.
Thank you, for everything. For seeing me. For believing me.
For believing in me.
He gave a quiet smile.
Always. Their eyes held just a moment longer than necessary, enough to say everything words couldn't. And when the car pulled away, leaving Daniel standing under the golden lights of the entrance, he knew with absolute certainty that this wasn't the end of their story. It was merely the beginning of something extraordinary, something beautiful, something neither of them had ever dared dream of. Because sometimes the most powerful stories begin with the quietest words. Sir, my mommy's crying in the bathroom.
And end with something no one expected.
Hope.
Love. Family. A future rewritten.